And no, I was not sleeping in the bush. I was sleeping on the grass. But on such a great morning like today, I wonder what everybody else is doing to enjoy their lovely morning.
좋은 아침입니다. 오늘 뭐 하세요?
Hi. Oh my God, what language is that? Does anybody know? I think it's Korean. Oh, hi. Wow. I think where are the forks and the spoons? I don't know how to eat this.
Good morning. How are you?
Woo! Hi, girl. Hi. Wow, I think I've really been in an environment where I'm just basically shown all these cultures. Hi, sawadika. Thai. Wow, okay. I think, I think I've been transported to a very globalized environment right now. And of course, I think today's IELTS face-off topic is probably going to be on being a global citizen. So that's probably one of the signs that the producers are giving me, right? So let's see what guest we have today, and I think our guest is going to be super interesting, so follow me and we'll start.
Here comes our guest. What are you? 2010 Singapore National Champion at Ministry of Education, Invitational Debate Champion. And next, Henry's IELTS On the Go journey will reach to the north of Vietnam, and we will also have a chance to meet these cutie girls with their speaking English stories, and surely be hungry for the great tips from the show. All will be brought to you with the discussion between our charming host Phoebe Chen and British Council IELTS expert Oliver Holmes. Be ready to face off our special guest right now.
This time we're going to have somebody who is the coach of many, many Vietnamese youths and who are looking to bring them overseas to participate in some of the top-notch debate competitions. And he's also a global citizen himself because, global citizen is a term that's very familiar with him. And of course, today we have him right here to sit with me and kind of share his own little story. So why don't we welcome Walter Yeo.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Phoebe.
So what is your definition of global citizen?
I think there isn't one definition of what it means to be a global citizen. It's one of those terms that different cultures, different countries have different expectations. But I think what can generally be said is that it's about, one, understanding the world around you. So which means to have a understanding, appreciation, and knowledge of that entire international community around you, finding out and becoming comfortable about what your role is in that, and a heavy emphasis on global citizenship, I believe, is being civic-minded, being able to identify how you can make things better for the next generation. I think that's what it means to be a global citizen.
So there's a lot of instances here in Vietnam. Traveling has become a big thing here in Vietnam. Young people love to travel, and I myself love to travel as well. But there's also a set of people who think that they can travel and those experiences are enough, and they're willing to invest their whole savings in traveling for that global experience. What's your impression on that?
So I definitely think there are a lot of benefits to traveling, but I think it's a lot about how we choose where we go and the reasons for doing so. So I think it's always about making each travel experience a learning experience. Not just booking a tour and then doing nothing the entire trip, but taking ownership of the trip and taking ownership of the entire experience. If you do that and if you approach it from a learning perspective, I think that's where traveling can really be a learning experience, definitely worth that kind of savings.
What's your view on real-life learning as compared to educational learning?
I wouldn't say that one is more important than the other, but I would say that they are both equally important in that they complement each other. So I think a lot of times, and this was maybe particularly true for the older generation, they were very much schooled, and I mean physically schooled, to think that everything happened within the four walls of a classroom. And I still think that that is very much important. But I think the out-of-classroom learning, the everyday learning, the experiential learning is as important because that's where it takes what you learn in theory into the real world. And that's where the practical aspect of growing and learning comes in.
So for yourself, you're a Singaporean citizen. What percentage in you is Singaporean and what percentage in you is global?
I like to think 50-50. 50% Singaporean and 50% global.
What type of global?
Definitely more Asian focused. Being a global citizen is always knowing where you came from. It's never losing sight of what you are, what your community, your culture is. And I remember my history teacher, he'll be very proud of me at this moment. He was always telling us, we need to learn about history because we need to know about where we came from in order to know where we're going to be going. And as cliche as it sounds, I think it's very true. So why I say 50% Singaporean is because I think it's important to never lose sight of what made you the person you are. But I would say the other 50% is the global experience, because that's essentially where I started to essentially live my adult life, right? Traveling from country to country, meeting students from a variety of different cultures and working with them to make them global citizens as well. I think that's the other 50% that I'm very interested in. So if I were to put a number to it, I would definitely say 50% Singapore and 50% global experience.
So, one of your highlights of your profile right now is debating, right? And what skills are needed to be a good debater, in your opinion?
All right, and this is where the answer is going to surprise you. Okay.
Surprise me.
You really just need to be passionate about debate. As a coach, we often tell teachers, we often tell parents that it's better to have a student who is passionate about debate and being willing to learn, who will make the best debater. Think of it like pottery, right? When you have clay that is willing to be molded and to be shaped, that's when you can make, a beautiful sculpture.
So, in debating, how much of it is winning and how much of it is coming closer to the truth?
Well, in most debaters' careers, I would actually say we lose more than we win.
Yeah.
It's very almost impossible to have an entirely perfect winning streak. You can learn a lot from losing as well, because it's about that experience and you become better. So if you ask me, right, how much of it is winning and how much of it is discovering the truth, I would often say that it's not about winning per se. As for the truth, I would often say that maybe that's a little bit more where debate falls into place. You learn a lot not just about yourself and from your research and your own experience, but sometimes you also learn a lot from your opponents. Sometimes you get opponents who are much better than you. And that's how I learn. I wouldn't say that one's more than the other because you can't really know how often you're going to win or lose. But I would definitely say that it's a little bit of a mix of both. And being prepared to be open to winning and losing, and also being prepared to be open to new ideas. And that's really where the learning debate comes in.
Yes, a lot of the times we want to win, but the losing process is really important, and sometimes it takes a lot of loses to get to a win. So you mentioned a little bit about the skills that you guys portray to the students. Now, if you were to summarize all of those skills into 5 quick tips that me, let's say as a debate dummy, can really learn, and all of our audience here can learn as well, what will it be? 5 very quick tips, 5 sentences.
Oh, I can do it in 3.
Okay, 3.
So what we believe you need to do is to think critically, to be able to analyze things in a very holistic manner, to be able to write creatively, because at the end of the day, a lot of it is also about preparing and getting ready for your different speeches. And lastly, to speak confidently, because debate is an art of persuasion. So sometimes no matter how much you write, at the end of the day, it's about how you're able to convey the message. So think critically, write creatively, and speak confidently. These 3 things will make you a great debater. At the same time, I think if you did these 3 things well, you would also probably do very well in IELTS.
And you would also do very, very well in life.
Yes.
That's great. Thanks a lot for kind of sharing all of that with us.
Not at all.
And I think, our producers have a couple of challenges for both you and I, and I'm excited to know what they are. And of course,
Likewise.
I'm also excited to challenge Walter to the IELTS challenge coming right up next. So welcome to the IELTS challenge, and this is the debate challenge. Now, we have to debate against each other, and our topic is, should men go grocery shopping? I'm for, you're against. Each of us has 30 seconds. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
All right, get set, go. I believe men should go grocery shopping because it is a break from the normal daily life, and men is able to go grocery shopping will also add variety to his life. So I believe men should go grocery shopping because grocery shopping adds variety.
So I think men shouldn't go grocery shopping because I think men are poorly equipped to go grocery shopping. I actually think it's in everyone's best interest for men not to go grocery shopping because we're more likely to make poor choices. But to address what you've mentioned, I think that men can get a lot of better opportunities to take different kinds of breaks where they can actually add value to the household. So we believe that men play a critical role in the household, but maybe not just by grocery shopping.
While being poorly equipped, in your opinion, I believe that that is a small portion of the whole population. The majority of men nowadays are able to have able to receive a lot of good education. You know, about 10 to 20% of men who do work also cook. So at the end of the day, you know, poor decisions and poor information is not a reason as to whether they should or should not do something.
As you quite rightly actually mentioned, it's only 10 to 20% of all men who are actually equipped to do so. So that's why in a majority of instances, we think men are unequipped to go grocery shopping. But more importantly, it is about how we can actually maximize different talents. So if men aren't actually best at doing grocery shopping, we believe that they can be better delegated to other roles. So it's really about finding where we are best deployed within the household and doing those jobs. So for example, even if they wanted to take a break, men could take a break by doing more other types of household chores that they might be better suited for, such as carpentry or...
Thank you very much for being able to fix cars and bicycles and doing other household chores. But this is another thing. It is about, being able to do many, many things at the same time. And I believe that, yes, men do have other avenues to kind of spend their time in making their relaxation more cathartic. I still do believe that, grocery shopping should be a major part of that aspect. It doesn't mean that he has to do grocery shopping all the time. It is about segmenting his time so that at least he can contribute to the grocery shopping in some way or another.
So I think it's definitely fair to say that it's not a zero-sum game, whether it's grocery shopping or nothing. But what we do need to understand is that everyone has limited time. So given the limited resource, which is time that most men have because of work and other things, we believe that this can be better spent, doing other types of household chores, which we think they may be better at.
Your conversation brings me to a recent research that the researchers at Harvard University has done. In the sense that our time now is quite, I would say it's not fixed, but it is very warpable. It's very dynamic. So there are people who can literally hack their sleep. So being able to sleep 4 hours from their regular sleeping schedule at 7. So at the end of the day, yes, men do have limited time, but this does not mean that that time is completely fixed in that way. And yes, on the one hand, you want good food on the table, but you also want to develop your man into a person who can potentially do so. Nothing is done right at the beginning. Everything needs some kind of training, and men, I believe, can receive that kind of training.
Okay. So definitely I agree that they can receive that kind of training, but that's why I'm not saying that men should never do it. I'm saying at this point, maybe they shouldn't do it. So it's really about time and experience. So maybe what we should do is instead have some kind of policy where we train men to be ready to essentially take on this really important role of grocery shopping. And then when they're ready, maybe take on that particularly important task. But at the moment, we think that their time, given their limited time and the resources and knowledge that they have, maybe might not be best for them at this point.
You agree with me!
But the debate is men should do it now.
Thank you for participating with me in this challenge.
No, not at all. But on a side note, I do believe men should go grocery shopping.
And so do I, and your family will be extremely happy to hear that. So great to have you here today to speak to all of us. So if you were to kind of share with our audience 3 vocabulary that's related to this topic, what will it be?
So definitely first off, globalization.
Yeah, globalization.
Secondly, passion. And thirdly, perseverance.
Perseverance, I love that. Right. Okay guys, so hopefully you learned a lot from this session, and always remember to have a lot of passion in your process of studying for IELTS. Definitely persevere through all of those hard times, and globalization. So have a good command of English so that you can travel the world and work with many different types of people. Right, so thanks so much, Walter.
Not at all, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And guys, next up is the tips section with our IELTS expert. Stay tuned.
Coming up next, let's get back to the master studio of IELTS Face-Off with Phoebe and our British Council IELTS expert Oliver Holmes. Set of handy tips is ready for you. And next, IELTS On the Go journey has traveled further to the north and has its first stop in Nam Định with Lê Hồng Phong School for Gifted. Are you excited and curious about the stories that these cutie schoolgirls gonna share? We know you do. But first, let's get to the master studio with Phoebe and our IELTS expert right now.
Hey, I'm so glad to have you back in our studio. So this time we're talking about the global village. Do you have any sentiments to share?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously the world is becoming increasingly interconnected, and I think I'm probably part of the movement. I've lived in several countries, and now obviously I'm living in Vietnam, and all of my students are pretty much intending to go abroad and study in other countries. So I think there's a lot of cultural interchange happening right now.
Mm-hmm. So today we're going to go to Nam Định. The school is called Lê Hồng Phong, right? And so let's see what Nam Định people have to say about English. Okay, so Khánh Vi, take us away, take us on that journey to go to Nam Định on IELTS On the Go.
And one of the greatest specialities of Nam Định City is Lê Hồng Phong High School for Gifted, with time-honored tradition of educating and training excellent students. And here I am at Lê Hồng Phong High School, and I'm bringing you our 5 talented students who will talk about learning English and about IELTS, obviously. And studio, are you excited? I'm so glad to meet all of you here, our bright students from Lê Hồng Phong High School for Gifted. Let's start our talk about learning English and IELTS as well. And I'm really curious about your methods of learning IELTS. Can you share with me?
The first time I got exposed to IELTS when I was in grade 9. This time I decided to take a free IELTS course in an English center.
I think that's a really good idea when you first got no idea about IELTS, but you start to go to an English center and they have you a lot. So what about you?
I do not have much time to go to an English center, so I choose study English by myself at home.
So what about the difficulties about self-study?
I have some difficulties, especially with my English speaking, because I think that if you want to learn English speaking well, you need a native speaker that can help you, but in internet you do not have it.
And one interesting thing I really need to tell you guys is that the show will offer you a golden chance of real-time speaking test in IELTS. Sounds cool? Yes. And you guys will also have a chance to, work with examiner, because the examiner will directly ask you guys from the studio and give you guys evaluation after the test. Yes. So your mission today is to choose 1 in 5 these beautiful ladies to take part in Voice of the Week. That's quite hard. Who will you choose?
Me? Yeah. Oh, Barsha is better than me. No, I'm not confident. No.
Yeah. They tell that you're confident. Be confident.
Quite nervous.
No, please don't be. Be confident, as you are now. Thank you for your tips. Yes. So, are you ready to face off?
Yes.
Yes. Off you go. Fighting! Fighting, Thanh.
She's absolutely ready for the speaking test. Are you ready for IELTS Face-Off?
I hope so.
IELTS Face-Off.
Earlier, Thanh was chosen to be voice of this week. She looks a bit nervous, but appearance cannot tell the whole thing. Let's see up next, will she be confident enough to conquer the real-time speaking test? And next, speaking part 3 will not be a monster anymore if you know the tricks of the safe approach to this part. Oliver Holmes and Phoebe Chen are going to share with you in the next part of this episode. Save the best for last. You know it, we know it. And the last best things of the show comes to you right now.
Hi, welcome to the speaking test. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Hello, nice to meet you.
Now, in this first part, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about your hometown or village. What kind of place is your hometown or village?
Oh, well, I was born in a small city in the north of Vietnam called Nam Định, which is about 19 kilometers from the capital. And this city is 750 years old, and it is often called the textile city.
Now, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. And here's your topic. I'd like you to describe a public speaker that you really admire.
Well, I would like to describe Mr. Barack Obama, which is the president of the USA from 2008 to 2016, as a public speaker that I really admire. Although he was not trained as a professional speaker, he is considered as one of the greatest speakers of all time. It was so impressive for a president. I know that politicians always try to influence people with their speeches, but in fact, just a few of them are memorable to people. But Mr. Obama did it so well. Let me give you an example. Last summer, he came to Vietnam and he gave a speech to thousands of students and businessmen in the National Convention Center. And in just 30 minutes, he gave a vivid impression on Vietnamese people's mind. Because as well as he expressed the hope that the relationship between two countries will be developed in the future. He also showed that he was very knowledgeable of Vietnamese culture and history. I think it's very important for a public speaker to know who is his audience is. And his speaking style is also very remarkable. He knows how to put short pauses to attract attention. He uses hand gestures so often to be more natural. And he often uses impressive metaphors and repetition to emphasize his messages.
Thank you. Now, in this next part, I'm going to ask you some questions related to public speaking. First of all, let's consider the skill of speaking. Do you think public speaking is one of the most important skills that teachers should develop in young learners?
Sure. Along with reading and writing math skills that are often taught in traditional school, I think public speaking is also really important. Vietnamese students are often told to be well-behaved and obedient, and they are often nervous and scared to speak out loud their opinions. So I think there must be classes where teachers encourage students to express their opinions.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the speaking test.
Whoa! How was your test?
I was so nervous. I wasn't perfect,
Yeah.
but I tried my best.
You try your best. That is the best thing of the test. Now let's check it out what the examiner would talk about your speaking test in the evaluation part.
How do you think she did?
Well, one of the things that I'm really impressed with most of the people who've come on this show is the fact that their pronunciation is really clear. So great pronunciation, very clearly spoken. I did notice a few mistakes in terms of collocations or the word order that she was using. For example, she said that Nam Ding is considered as one of the most worth living cities. So there's a problem with the word order there. I think maybe we need to change the words to the most livable cities. She also said the living pace, not too fast. I think we need to add some words there, like in general, the pace of life in Nam Ding is a little bit more leisurely than in other urban areas. Generally, I thought there were some word order problems throughout her speech. Again, I think it's great with any student who's got problems with grammar to write it down to see how the grammar should look on the page and to be particularly aware of the word order problems when you're speaking.
And I really want to say thank you so much, our lovely girls from Lê Hồng Phong High School, for your confidence, for your brightness, for your hospitality. It's such an honor for me to meet all of you here. Definitely next time I will see you again.
I think speaking can be quite a daunting task for a lot of people because they don't really know what to say, and they're worried about their pronunciation, they're worried about their grammar. Now, in terms of the speaking part 3, which is the longest speaking section, what are some of the tips do we really have to give to these students so that they can be a lot more comfortable? And that's going to be the next section in our tips, and tips section. So guys, if you're one of those people that are extremely worried about speaking part 3, take a look at the next upcoming clip, and then we'll discuss more with Oliver on that.
Giving examples is a good way to expand ideas in speaking part 3. Most questions revolve around various aspects of life, so it shouldn't be too difficult to think of a relevant example. Master expressions that describe comparisons, similar or different, reasons, problems, and solutions. This area of vocabulary can be acquired by reviewing writing tasks 2 essays.
So when it comes to speaking part 3, what are some of the tips so that people can be extremely confident and do the speaking part 3 section really well?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd say that if you've planned really well for your writing test and you've prepared a lot of ideas for lots of different topics, then you've basically already prepared for speaking part 3. Speaking part 3 is a time when the examiner is really trying to maximize your English. So this is the time for you to show off the longest sentence structures, the complex sentence structures that you have, and also to show off the more formal vocabulary. So I would say that the vast majority of vocabulary that you'd use in a formal essay is also useful for the part 3 of the speaking test.
Do you think it's smart for people to give a lot of examples just to lengthen their answers?
I think really you have to be careful maybe to not make your answers too long. I mean, an ideal answer could be between 20 perhaps and 40 seconds, but you don't want to actually speak an entire essay. You want a mini essay. So a very short introduction giving some sort of context to your answer, then maybe 3 complex sentences which develop different aspects of the story, and then a very quick conclusion.
So as a global citizen, what are some of the vocabulary that you have to kind of share with our audience?
Okay, yeah, well, I come from England, which is a very multicultural society, and I think it's interesting to think about the differences between multicultural and monocultural societies. Mono meaning one, multi meaning many, and to think about things like the sociological terms would be homogeneous societies or heterogeneous societies. So a homogeneous society would be a society where everybody has similar beliefs and uniqueness is not really prized. Whereas in a heterogeneous society, that would be a society with a very wide range of views and perhaps prizing individuality and individual ideas more.
All right, thanks so much for coming by. I think it's been a great chat. We'd love to hear more and more of your global experiences and also your life experiences here in Vietnam. Yeah. Guys, everybody has a chance to be a global citizen. Take the IELTS exam, maybe prepare for a study abroad option. So make sure you go onto our webpage, go onto our YouTube, go onto our Facebook, and really just interact with us. There's a lot of free resources there. The tips are all there. Or also just to always be open-minded. Read books, watch videos, read the news, watch the news. Some of us may argue that globalization is the perfect transition into modern society. Some of us may say that globalization makes societies even worse than they were before. Whichever side of the conversation you're on, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussions for you and your friends after the episode today. So that's it for me for now, but as always, keep on talking, keep on discussing, keep on studying for the IELTS, and for sure you're going to be amazingly good at all of this English abilities. I'll see you next time. Bye. Ciao, ciao.